still remember DWB?
Driving while
Yeah. And FWA? Okay, right now there is another one. If you're driving a van while being Hispanic. Okay? Driving a van, big van. You understand van? With a lot of people, all Hispanic. Yeah, you're illegal immigrant. Okay? So from the Arizona experience right now, they said the police, if you have reasonable suspicion, then you can check their ID. You know, if they cannot prove they are U.S. citizens, then they are violating, the basic law of Arizona and the United States. Then you can arrest them, right? But the question is, if they look, what do we mean by reasonable suspicion? Reasonable suspicion. What is a reasonable suspicion? For example, how do you know, like, so and so is going to commit a crime? For example, well, let's look at someone who I think in Tsinghua University, right? There are people stealing some of the equipment here. So how do you know, reasonable suspicion that this might be the guy?
reasonable because they hide their movements very well, so that we can only use our intuition.
Okay, so, but what is your reasonable suspicion? Are they going to stop me? Oh, he wear a tie, must not be him. Right? So what is a reasonable suspicion?
I think the big brother is everywhere.
No, I'm talking about, like, for example, if they want to say, okay, let's say they go to the east part of Taipei, to the pub, right? And they suspect me smoking, using drugs. So how do they check, like my car or myself? How do they find, think this is reasonable that this guy look like a, drug users? Criminal record, but you don't have the criminal record with you, right? I mean, that's why we call racial profiling. Right? This is exactly the same word, racial profiling. We don't even have a pen here. Okay, here. Okay, we write on this one. This one is broken. So what should I do? Okay, I love this word. Racial profiling. That's the discrimination part, right? For example, people would think, student from China scoring so good on TOEFL, must be cheating, right? Cannot be so good, right? So this we call racial profiling. So if you happen to be good, then people will check. So the same thing is, black is not supposed to drive such a luxurious car. So if if you drive a good car, either you steal the car or you must be a drug dealer. That's what we call racial profiling. The same thing with the immigrants now in the United States. If you look Hispanic with a group of people, must be illegal immigrants, right? So that's what we call racial. And then how do you think? They say reasonable suspicion. Now, can we get one more Hispanic? How about A-Rod? Does he look like an illegal immigrant? No, because he was having fun with Madonna. No, illegal alien cannot do that. Right? Illegal immigrants cannot do that. So, but reasonable suspicion. Now, what do you mean by reasonable suspicion? They said This is the word they use. Totality of circumstances. Okay, what does that mean? Means, okay, if you stop a group of people, happen to be in a van, no documents, no one has documents. Okay? No one has documents, and nobody speaks English. I think adding few things together, that's what we call totality of circumstance. So you have to remember this term, totality. Later, for example, if your girlfriend or boyfriend cheat on you, split, we call, right? 劈腿, right? So you say, I have reasonable suspicion that you're doing that. You say, well, how come you don't trust me? No, the most important thing in a relationship is trust. How come you don't trust me? You say, well, adding all this together, I look at the overall picture, the totality of circumstance. Sorry, I have suspicion you're cheating on me, right? So that's what I think they talk about. Reasonable suspicion, fine. But how do you define reasonable suspicion? It's the totality. Okay? So you cannot just pick someone, a Hispanic, think he's an illegal immigrant. But if illegal, with a group of people dressing differently. Okay. Now, some of the Hispanic in the U.S. probably would dress differently than the one who do not. Of course, illegal immigrants can change their outfit, but still, this is one thing we can do. So we're using this one, right? But this one is also. Which one is which one? Okay, it's this one. No, it's okay. I mean, it just happened. I thought my disk is here, but this one also has the same, image here. Okay, so what do we have? We have, so we're going to look at this. We have some really good female legislators now. They're very good in fighting. And we're going to look at this one first, I think. Where is my Taiwan? Where is that one? Taiwan. Okay. Ke Shaojun. Lin Xingnan. Yeah, starting from you. Taiwan should open door to Chinese student. University president said.
I say Taiwan. Local university president said yesterday that Taiwan should open its door to Chinese students as soon as possible, insisting that there will be more pros and cons. Okay,
so here, university president. When I first came back to Taiwan, our university was celebrating the 70th anniversary of NZZU, National Zhengzhi University, 70 years, and they asked me to help, to do the MC for the conference. So they invite a lot of presidents of our sister university to attend. I remember we have presidents, university president from Poland, from Korea, from Turkey, from just, from the United States, from Europe, different countries. But the conference name was such a bad name. What do they call that conference? 国际大学校长会议. Okay, fine. In Chinese. In English, what do you write? International University President Conference. Hey, I thought there's something wrong. I said, wait a second, this should be called International Conference of University Presidents. Huh? But they said, well, we already printed all the envelope and everything, letterhead, so cannot change. So when I was there, I have to change it, keep calling this the International Conference of University President. But they just translate 国际大学校长会议，国际 International 大学 University 校长 President 会议 Conference. Okay, such a great name. I always remember. So here, University President, just reminds me of that. But open door. Okay, open door policy. What was the first one? Open door policy in Chinese history that we heard about. 门户开放政策. Do you remember in Chinese history? After what? Boxer Rebellion. 全集叛乱. What is it? 义和团. 义和拳. Okay? Boxer Rebellion. People talk about open door. And there is another open door policy earlier in a country called Japan. Okay? And then recently in China, in 1978-79, you have the 改革开放, also open door policy. And that's the reason I think Taiwan is thinking about open door policy. But in order to have open door policy, we have to first lock our door first. So that's the reason we're experimenting 锁国政策, right? 要先锁才能开嘛. Okay, like Japan also did that. What do we call that? Sakoku. In Japan. And which is not necessarily bad. People argue that Japan was good during the period of Sakoku. Why? You allow the Japanese to develop their national identity. Okay, so I think that's the purpose of our DPP. Want us to be more proud of our identity. So lock us in. So we have to face each other, and then we will know. Okay. So that's the policy now of this Sakoku. But it's an open door and pros and cons. So what do we mean by pros and cons? Pros are professionals, right? Cons are convicts. 所以一个是职业选手 ，cons 是 convict 是逃犯。What is it? I'm sorry. How do you do these things? I want to blow up. Where is the blow up? 放大. No, that's 手字放大. Oh, thank you. So this is minus. But this is plus. Okay. Oh, I'm going to love Vista. Okay, so what is pro and con?
Pro means benefits.
Uh-huh.
And cons means bad.
Okay, loss. So it's almost like what do we have? A little bit pro and con. Almost like recently they have this SWOT things. Do you know that SWOT? SWOT?
Yeah.
So what is it? Pro is almost like what? Strength, right? No, and opportunity. And con is almost like weaknesses and risk. Huh? What is it? Risk, SWOT? What is T? Threat. Okay, threat. Okay. So that's pro and con. Okay. Next one. 庄伟翔. Yeah.
Taiwan's government, last 2 years, decided to allow Chinese students to study in Taiwan, but it will limit the number of mainland Chinese students under 2,000 a year in the initial stage of the program.
Continue.
The president of Taiwan's university said during a press conference Tuesday that opening Taiwanese universities to Chinese students will not threaten Taiwanese students in any way, be it in the college entrance slot or job opportunities.
Okay, so here, under 2,000 a year, how many university students do we have? Yeah, right now.
1,800.
1,800 students? No, we're talking about Taiwanese students. How many? Yeah, okay, 1 year. Like, how many students enter the university each year? 150, about 15万是吧? Okay. Okay. I don't know the real number. I know it's somewhere there. I thought it's 140,000 or something. But when I was a student, every year we have about 100,000 taking the entrance examination. And out of those, about 25% will get admitted. So you think of this, right? At the time, we have about 1/4 of the people who took the exam will be admitted. And we have so many kids in each family at the time. Now we have less kids. We have more university slots than the people who take the exam. So we have not a lot, not like back to my days. So means, do you think they will really threat to Taiwanese slots here, entrance examination slot? Like the Tsinghua University said, each year you have how many students? 2,000 undergraduate? 1,500. Okay, so 1,500 Tsinghua students. You say, if we admitted Chinese students, 2,000 each. So for Tsinghua, maybe let's say 10, okay? Or 20, let's say, because we have 100 some university. So 20 new students coming from China would take away the local students' slot. Is that real? But the university president said, no, it will not. Will it? My question.
I think it will.
It will.
Not too many.
Okay. Now, can we do this, saying these are the students that will be a separate admission process and will not take away the Taiwan's quota? I think we can do that as well, right? Saying consider them a separate. So, for example, if Tsinghua University, we add another 15 students or 20 students, and then each department add just one, do you think the professor will notice that? Probably not. The local student will say, thank you, we only have 3 students regularly attending this class. Thank you. You just sit there, don't move. Show up every week. So professor has at least someone to talk to. Now, I remember when I was an English major, and then nobody wanted to listen to our Chinese professor. He has an accent. So I was sitting there, a little bit responding. And then, that was a bad mistake. Later, I was sitting in the back. He said, Yan Tongxue, please sit here. Because I was the only student responding, reacting to his teaching. So you want some students sitting there, to help the class look okay. Right? So I think we have some students, that would be fine. It's not going to threat. So you have at least, every class you have more than one student missing. It's not like, I'm sorry, the capacity is limited, so you cannot do that. So that's one. And then job opportunity, because local students, or at least in the civil service exam, they cannot do it, right? You have to be Taiwan's national in order to take the civil. But what about the private sector? can we design some visa or something that can they stay here after the study? Because if they stay, they probably will go to UMC or TS, all those high-tech company to work. Then we'll take away your job and my stock option. Right? When I first came back to Taiwan, my wife and I found out all the stock options. My wife said, "Can I be a janitor in that company?" 我们要去那个台积电当清洁工，如果能够分到股票 ，okay, we're willing to do that. Okay, but with that, so this is what people do. Okay, now I think the big question here is, if you go to United States, which is a country that is more open, if you study there, after you finish, you can actually have job training, practical training there, right? That's also important. Sometimes they will even help you to acquire a job and then stay there. Okay, so that's the funny part about Taiwan is we have been a country that sent a lot of immigrants to Canada, to Australia, to United States. Yet we are trying to prevent people coming in here. So that's one issue here. So college entrance slots, okay, or job opportunities. Next one, 吴梦月. Li Sicheng, right? That's him. I know you don't want to learn his name. He's the president of your rival university. But, Li Sicheng. Continue. Okay, or we can inspire Chinese student attitude. Chinese student will be inspired by Taiwan students' attitude toward playing, right? So that's also good. But here, Li Sicheng said 80% of university presidents in Taiwan support opening. Why? Because they want good students. What's the reason? Is that we don't have enough students, right? 80%. No, I think it's not just the university having problem. Okay, I recently was told a friend of mine who is in Foshan University. Okay, you heard about that university? Buddha's Light. Okay, anyway, this university has a political science department, and last year the freshman class, student 7. The number of professors 8. So each student is assigned one teacher, fully focused on that student. Okay, so that's a big problem, I think. Don't you think? This is not a very strange department, like nuclear physics. This is political science. Everyone can be a student of political science. I asked my son to be a accounting major. He said, "Dad, but that's going to be very difficult. I cannot graduate in 4 years." I said, "What can you graduate in 4 years?" "Oh, political science." Okay, so political science is very easy. Yet we only have 7 students, 8 professors. Okay, so those universities would love to open, all right, to students from China, just to at least make the university survive. Okay, not enough students, but others I think really want to have local students at least getting inspired or at least trying to know what other students are doing in China. So that's why they wanted to have open door. Okay, not selectively. Okay, selective. Okay, this is what we have the word always we call selective memory or selective hearing. This is what my wife accused of me. Sometimes I couldn't hear what she said. She said, do you have hearing problem? So I went to the hospital and, they sent me to this room like, ding, raise your right hand. Ding, raise your left hand, right? So after examination, the doctor said, you have perfect hearing. I said, how come I couldn't hear her sometimes? She said, selective hearing. Okay, so that's selective. Okay, selective memory, selective hearing. But being selective, what does that mean, being selective? Means being choosy. Means, you don't just date anyone coming, to you. You have to be selective. Right? Did your parent tell you about that one? Okay. Always remember this. Because one of my friends, a couple, right? Both are graduate students in the United States. One is a girl. She looked up her saving. She said, I'm running out of money. I better get married. Right? And the boy said, wow, I'm eating 泡面, instant noodle all the time. I better get married and have someone, do some real cooking. So they got married. And they found out he doesn't have money and she doesn't know how to cook. Okay, so you have to remember, being selective, okay? This is true story. Okay, the girl didn't finish. We both studied history. She quit the master's degree and got married. But the boy really didn't, she doesn't know how to cook, and he didn't have money. Okay. But they got married, they have kids, good. Right now, at least the husband didn't have the money, but after he finished his study, he got a good job, so fine. And the wife, gradually, I think, will cook something. Right? Not necessarily good, but you never know. Okay? When I married my wife, she didn't know how to cook at all. I taught her everything. But then she became what we call 青出于蓝. Okay? Better than my cooking. First, when we got married, if we invite guests, I have to cook few dishes first. And then begin to cook less and less, and then I don't have to cook at all. She cook everything, and then she thought this is so easy, and she would take a nap, and then before the dinner is served, she would take a shower. Doesn't look like just emerge from the kitchen. So she is very good right now. I don't have to do anything. But when I first met her, I went to her place. She gave me a glass of tea. The leaf is about the same. About like the glass. She doesn't know that the leaf will grow. Okay, she just put, like half of the glass of leaf or something. Okay, so. But this would, if you look at the glass, right, in Taiwan we use transparent glass. So you can see the leaves is about 1/4 of the, but that's already being blown up. Right, so she put that much, and then with the hot water, it just grows as the same as the glass. Okay, next one. Wang Yikai.
The first conference was held by legislative.
Okay, caucus.
Caucus of Taiwan. Party
国民党, okay, KMT.
Which supports the move.
Continue. You think you can get away with only 2 lines?
With a legislative committee scheduled to review law amendment Regarding the issue today, the opposition
Democratic.
Progressive Party in its legislative caucus said earlier Tuesday that they strongly oppose the government's plan to allow Chinese students to set up
Okay.
credit in Taiwan.
To allow. Okay, here. Always remember these few words here. Right? The pronunciation, democratic. Okay, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, always remember this. Democrat, democracy, democratic, democratize, democratization. Okay, that's how the accent is. 重音, huh? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So always Democrat, democracy, democratic, democratized, and democratization. So Democratic Progressive Party, Legislative Caucus. What is a caucus? A caucus look like a circus. Yes? No? What is a caucus? Caucus, okay, if you want to write Chinese, that's going to be too difficult, too many strokes. So,党团哦，你看看，党团，黑砖 black， okay， 你看 so many strokes， huh? So 党团 what is 党团 ？Party Then why don't we just say Democratic Progressive Party? Why we have to say caucus here? Legislative caucus. 立法院民进党党团 what does that mean?
The main character in that party.
Okay, we would say not main character, because some of the main character, for example, in DBP right now, people like, I'm sorry, I have to call her this way, 管大婶, 管碧玲. Okay, but I don't think she is part of the caucus. So what is caucus? It's the leadership. Okay, the leaders of that party in the legislature. 党团. Okay, like people like 党编. Okay, party whip. What does that mean? Behave, right? With a whip, behave. What do you mean by party whip? 党鞭. 还有大党鞭, 小党鞭. Means, you know, like, oh, if it's 5 feet, that's a 大党鞭, the whip.
To make the decision of the issue.
It's not making it's calling people to vote certain way. Okay, 党鞭 means, you know, make sure, hey, don't get drunk tonight. You have a vote tomorrow. Okay, you have to show up. You know, some of the legislators who do not know day and night, they just have fun a lot of time. Okay, so but you have to make sure they're present in voting. So 党鞭 is to get them in line, and then when they went to vote, they look at like, how do I vote this one? No means yes, yes means no. You never know. You understand what I'm saying? For example, you say yes. They said, we're going to abolish death penalty. You said, yes to death penalty. No, you're saying yes to abolish death penalty. So people got confused. So, and you know the legislature do not have a great intelligence. So they need the 党鞭, you know, the caucus, we call the party whip, to say, show them, yes. Oh, they say, oh, okay, just look at him, you know, whether he wants us to vote yes or I'm serious. Okay, this even happened in university Senate 校务会议也是，有时候投票，我们到底投什么？OK because you get confused, like death penalty. You don't even know the proposal is to sustain or to abolish death penalty. So you say, I don't like death penalty. So I said no. But no means what? Means yes. So very confusing. Okay, so that's a very important caucus. Legislative caucus, 党团 means the leadership. Okay, majority leader, minority leader. In the United States, in Taiwan, we have 党编, right? The party whip. Okay, and they schedule it to review amendment. What do you mean by amendment? Law amendment. Modifying revision. Okay, so for example, if you have a constitution, the one I'm most familiar, the American Constitution, they have 27 amendments altogether in 230 years of history. Okay, 27. And the first 10 amendments occurred in the first few years of the Constitution. We call the Bill of Rights. 有听过吗？人权法案。Okay, Bill of Rights. So, which means after 1791, in the last 220 years, they only have 17 amendments, which means a constitution is so important, you don't revise it easily. In Taiwan, we just love to revise our constitution. Like I have co-workers in my institute who used to be National Assembly member, 国大代表. You know, like before their meeting, scheduled meeting during the summer, he said, "Hey, 老严, do you have any proposal? Do you think we should do anything this summer?" I said, no, don't touch that baby. Okay, we don't even know what's wrong with our constitution because it's keep changing. Okay? But here, amendment means to revise the law. Okay? In Taiwan, most of the revision is made only to support the present need, not to think for long term. Okay, so I don't like constitutional amendment. But this is a law amendment. Why you have to do it? Because in our exchange with China, you need to change that in order to have students from China to come here. So they have to review these amendments regarding the issue. In opposition parties, they oppose the government plan. So they need to do something different. Okay? They don't like it. 张淑珍. Continue. Uh-huh. 岭东 Okay, so Taiwan's interests will be protected because we have 3 restrictions and 6 no's. Okay, so we will learn this 3 restrictions attached to add something. So it is almost like there are conditions attached. Okay, so what are the conditions? We're going to learn about this one. 郭登峰.
Number of students will be admitted, and professional areas in which the Chinese students' educational credential will be recognized.
Okay, so what do you mean by educational credential? Not just that, but what else? Okay, so for example, if we have, let's say, student coming from not the some 40 university we recognized, right? Then we will not accept. Okay, so those educational credentials, you have to look at some of their high school transcript and all those. Those are also important. And then the professional area, okay, we'll recognize what areas. I think this is something to do with medical studies. This is one limited. So restrictions, a number of students, already 2,000. Continue with the 6 notes.
Under the 6 notes, Chinese students will not be given
Preferential.
schools. They will not affect the number of local students to be enrolled. They will not be eligible for scholarships, and they will not be allowed to take jobs or take tests for civil service examinations in Taiwan after graduation.
So you understand preferential score, preferential treatment. What is preferential? You are preferred. What does that mean? You're a preferred customer. Oh, so that's the reason you will have preferential treatment. Like if you use certain credit cards, you are entitled to stay in the VIP lounge in the airport. We call preferential, right? Or you have priority check-in. That's what we call preferential. So what is it? More benefit. You treat it differently. So preferential score. For example, in Taiwan, do we have that? For Aborigines, we have. A long time ago, when I was a student, we have people from the bordering area can qualify. So I have a friend, a good friend of mine, is originally from Yunnan, and he got some extra points. Recently, I remember watching a Chinese television drama about how some of the parents try to pretend they are from the, their kids are from the border area, like minority groups. So you can add some points. You get preferential scores. So in Taiwan, we have that. What else do we have? Preferential. Handicap? Okay. I remember when I was graduating with my degree, most of my classmates got jobs. I have one female classmate. She got a job because the university said, "Ooh, we need gender balance." So she got a job. And then I have a friend who is a Mexican-American, Hispanic, minority, good. And I got a job, Asian, minority, good. And now I have a white, Caucasian, male friend who didn't get a job. He's the best in our class, but he didn't get a job. He said, "Gosh." He said, "Well, how can I get a job? First, I might want to go to war because being a veteran, you get preferential treatment." Okay, but he is against war, so he cannot go. He said, "I cannot change my gender." He cannot change his sexual preference. Maybe orientation. That would be something you can do. He said, "I'm a gay. You cannot be discriminating against gay." But he didn't do that. He said the only way for him to get a job is to hurt himself and make himself a handicap, so he will have priority. The university looked good, right? Like I have one female classmate. She was so welcome. Why? She is from Haiti, original. I think she's black, Hispanic as well, but she's not French. She's Hispanic, black, and woman. So we call her triple minority. And she was recruited by Oklahoma State University. Oklahoma has very few blacks. So the university want to make sure she doesn't feel very lonely there. When they recruit her, interview her, they invited about 50 blacks from the community, to have a reception. And she was not even given the job, just an interview, So to make sure she would be feeling comfortable, feeling at home, she will not feel lonely. So they got some 50 blacks in the community to join. So she got a job, okay? But she's not the best. I think the best one didn't get a job. Why? Because everyone else has one little thing to feel. And this lady, Oklahoma State University, so happy. Do you have Hispanic? Yes. Do you have woman? Yes. Do you have, black? Yes. Wow, suddenly, this university look good on this kind of, affirmative action. So no preferential treatment. I don't think in Taiwan people will say, do you have Chinese student? Yes, that will be, helping. No, this is not, okay? So that's one no. And second no is not going to affect local student number. I think we already said. Eligible, what do you mean by eligible? Qualify, eligibility. Sometimes we also talk about students' eligibility, whether they are qualified to be. Can they become professional players? Eligibility. How many years of eligibility do you have left? Okay, so those are eligible means you are allowed to do certain things. So eligible not for scholarship. Now, people already said this can be circumscribed. What does that mean? Can be bypassed. Why? We said no scholarship for mainland Chinese students, but people said, oh, they will be given scholarship. How? The university cannot give them scholarship. Moonlight is different. I'm talking about scholarship. Scholarship means you don't do things, a lot of things. Okay? Okay, scholarship, let's put it this way. Mostly indoor, no heavy lifting. Mostly indoor, am I right? Scholarship, no heavy lifting. 不需要搬很重的东西吧？还是有吗？ What do we mean by bypassing this? Because people say, maybe Taiwan businessmen in China will offer them scholarship. So after they educated in Taiwan, they go back to China, they can work for the company, they know better about the cross straits, they know the culture of Taiwan. So businessmen might provide scholarship. You never know, right? Government cannot do it, but private sector can do it. Or we have some strange, what do we call this? We call association. Have you ever seen? It's declining, but they still have some money. 潮州同乡会，有听过吗？Pretty big. There's also there's a 宁波同乡会。中青会哦，很多 a lot. 哦，许氏中青会。Okay, maybe who knows, right? You can provide scholarship. 那个什么？还在，而且 and what happened is they actually have some really good location in Taipei. And now, places like 宁波同乡会, do you know where it is? It's very close to 张开轩 Memorial. 有看过吗？在罗斯福路上面。宁波同乡会。有挂招牌。潮州同乡会 where is it? 潮州街杭州南路口。Good place, gosh. Okay. When I was in the United States, people said, "Are you from Guangdong? Are you from Sunde?" I said, "Why? Why so important?" He said, "Sunde, so many scholarships they cannot use up." I said, well, why would they have so many scholarships? He said, because a lot of Sunde people back in the 19th century worked as railroad workers in the United States, and they left all their money to this Sunde 同乡会. So if you are from Sunde, you're taken care of. I'm sorry, I'm so close. 番禺 very close, but not eligible. Okay, if you can prove you're from Sunde, Allah. So the same thing in Taiwan. Maybe there are people from Ningbo Tongxianghui might want to give. Okay, so we don't know. Okay, so they are okay, and then not allowed to moonlight. Wow, we have this 月亮代表我的心. They cannot do that. What does that mean? What do you mean by moonlight? Working? No, moonlight is almost like what? Second job, secret, or sometimes it's like it should not be known. We call moonlighting. Okay, like you don't want your first job boss to know that you have another job, because you doze off in your first job if you work for a second job, right? But moonlights are working. Seek jobs or take tests for civil service exam after graduation. So those are the 6 notes. 3 restrictions and 6 notes. Taiwan have been so accustomed to this number games, right? With China. 3 notes. 3, 6, 5, 胡6点, 江8点, 李7条, 陈9点. 李6条, okay, 李6条, 陈7条. Okay, so we have all this 3步, 5步, 4步1没有. We are all playing the number games. 1国2制3通4流, 还有5什么? 5福临门吗? Okay, and your professor has a 9 points, about Taiwan's future as well. And then 叶9条, I love 叶9条. 不是打牌的9条. Okay, 叶剑英的. Okay, nice Cantonese. Look at this guy. This guy back in 1980, what did he say? He said, if Taiwan is having financial trouble, the central government will consider subsidizing Taiwan. Oh, I was laughing in 1981. I said, Taiwan is in much better shape. But, what is China talking about? Helping us financially. Now I'm, holding this one, and I went to the Cantonese government. I said, hey, your people used to say, when we have financial trouble, you're going to support us. Show me the money. And we have a problem. Show me the money. Huh? Okay, so that's what we call the number game. So 6 notes here, 3 restrictions. Okay, let's take a break. 100. Yeah, but usually it's 100 and what? 110. Okay, so do not exceed. Okay, 110. Right? But most people say, they give you some leniency. So maybe 115. So a lot of people set their, odometer as 150, speedometer as 115. So that's the exceeding excessively. Taiwan's move to impose an upper limit of 2,000 on the number will create a natural balance. Now, do you think that's natural balance? We have 2,888 people, students in China, so they send 2,000, that's balance? Wait a second. I think they have more students. I mean, percentage-wise, that's not balance, right? So, but in terms of number, they look okay. But you should look at the percentage. Okay. 林若凡又生病了，他第2次了，肖乃馨。OK。Continue.
Last week, the Ministry of Education official said that at present there is an imbalance because China permits Taiwanese
Reciprocal.
regulations in Taiwan.
Okay, so what happened here? Japan and Korea both having similar problem like Taiwan, right? Not having enough kids. Having the benefit, China or Japan? Why China? Because Chinese student didn't pay tax and then they went to this university. But how much is Japanese tuition? Anyone know? The only thing I know is about American education. You know, you pay for that. It's so expensive, right? But Korea and Japan less expensive than the U.S. So you think China is taking advantage? But why don't you think that this university, without the student from China, might not survive? You know, they have to close down. They might have even more problems. And then with Chinese students in Japan and in Korea, they understand Korea and Japan better. Maybe China in the future will be less chauvinistic. For example, China always talk about Korea, right? Being created by whom? Song Dynasty, 箕子. Do you remember? Chicken head? No. 箕子听过吗？没听过啊。I'm shocked. Do you know this guy? When Song Dynasty was, defeated by the Zhou, and then he went exile in Korea. So that's why we have the beginning of Korean history, right? And then how did Japanese history start? According to the Chinese view. Xu Fu, okay. So Qing, first emperor, Qing Shi Huang, sent 15, right, or 30 young men and women. And that's the beginning of Japanese history. But if you study in Japan, their history started way back. And if you study in Korea, you know their history like 2000 some BC. So don't you think Korea said, finally we have this opportunity to change this chauvinistic view? Because I studied Korean history, and they said, Korean history is a history of struggle against Chinese cultural imperialism and Japanese military imperialism. 那不是很好吗? It's good for Korea as well, right? Don't you think? Maybe. Okay, so we don't know. I mean, who benefits, right? It's like American give a lot of scholarship to Taiwanese students, and then find out we have a president who, graduating from Harvard University, being interviewed by CNN, said we will never ask American troops to defend Taiwan. Right? So Americans are, thank you, finally we educate someone who is, taking our interests into consideration. Is he American or Taiwanese? Okay. But this is, I think, the good part of education. People say, you are going to raise people that will be more sympathetic to you. Okay? Educated people that are going to know you better. And that's why I said so many students in Japan and Korea. So 2,000 represent what's the percentage of Taiwanese international students? Anyone? How many international students do we have? How many international students? 2,000 will represent, my guess right now, I'm just, using my university as an example, I would say it's about 10% at the most, less than 10%. Okay, so compared to Korea and compared to Japan, we have less percentage of international student from China. What do you mean by reciprocal? Michelle, you have a difficult time pronouncing the word reciprocal. 对等. Or, for example, when you date your boyfriend, is he always pay the bill? You never reciprocate. 你就是吃他的，你自己都不付. Reciprocal means what? Like maybe every 2 or 3 meals, you have to pay one, right? That's what we call reciprocal. Reciprocate. Reciprocity, 互惠. Reciprocity, I think we go through that word, reciprocal, reciprocate. Okay, verb, adjective, and noun. Okay, so remember, this is a good word to use. Okay, let's see some of our brave women here in Taiwan. So any one of you who is interested in becoming a parliamentarian, please learn some martial arts. Okay, you're going to need that. 张宇全 yeah. Scuffle. Parliament. Continue. Legislators. 赵丽云 ruling Okay, so Taiwanese lawmakers scuffle means kind of risk fighting in parliament. Controversial bill on to open local university to Chinese students. And then manhandle opposition. What do you mean by manhandle? Basically, take someone down. Okay, Zhao Liyun of the ruling party, and to stop her chairing. Okay, chair. Right now we don't. What happened? We call chairman, right? So, what happened if the chairman is a woman? Chairwoman? Do we use chairwoman?
There is no such word.
What do we use? Chairperson? Sometimes we use chairperson, but the best one right now is just chair. So I'm the chair. And then you say, oh, you're the chair, I'm the table. Right? So chair, okay, chairing a conference, a review of the bill. Struggle with others who try to come her rescue. Okay, the footage show. So this is the scuffle here. Controversial, okay, bill. Why controversial? Because the opposition party think you should not do that. And in parliament, parliament is the general word right now. So in Taiwan, what is the name of our parliament? Ms. Zhang? What's the official name of our parliament? Stand Law House. 立法院, right? No, we don't. How do we? People said legislative yuan. Y-U-A-N. How about America? Congress. Great Britain? Parliament. Okay, Japan? No, Japan is called Diet. D-I-E-T. That's the reason they're so skinny. Okay? And Russia? Duma. Okay. Duma, 有听过吗? Okay. So those are just different names. But parliament is the general term. So you will always see parliamentary election. 国会选举, parliamentary election. Okay. Or legislative, but parliamentary. So that's what we call ourselves, our parliament. And 单主文, next, conference table.
The conference table was overthrown and two lawmakers stood atop the podium shouting at each other in chaotic scenes that last about 20 minutes, local media said.
Continue.
Chow was later hospitalized after collapsing on the scene, while several female opposition lawmakers told reporters they were also injured. Okay, table overturned, then some stood atop of a podium. This is our podium nowadays, huh? Podium with this kind of, it's not even here anymore, right? It used to be here. It used to be taller. So I remember I was sitting here, right here, right, broadcasting baseball game for my class. I was listening, and then write the scores on this board here. And then the professor was still teaching. Doesn't know what happened. But not anymore. Okay, so standing on the podium, I think, Dan Zhuwen, do you think our female legislators also are not overweighted? I don't think so.
Yeah. Otherwise, the table, no, otherwise it will not be her that collapse. It will be the table collapse. Okay? But what do we mean by collapsing here? Fainted. Okay, I think several female also said they got hurt. Remember, I mentioned to you about my colleague, co-workers in the National Assembly, 国大代表. I remember one time we have a department meeting, 系务会议, and he brought his injury to the class. His head was injured. There was a hole there. So also fight. They have to fight. Otherwise, you're not Taiwanese lawmaker if you cannot provide a fight. Okay, because your constituents want to see that, and who else want to see that? Personally, I think they got paid by CNN, because CNN got bored, every few months. They need to show one footage of Taiwanese, legislative yuan fighting. So they secretly pay someone to stir a fight, so they can have a footage. Okay. Even I remember that one time I was in France on my way to Africa. There was a CNN, Taiwan's lawmakers fighting. It's not. They don't have to report anything. Like at the end of the program, just law fighting scene in Taiwan. Okay, lawmaker fighting scene. Ong Ying-zhi. Continue. Influx. Okay, here. Admit student first time as early as this year is a shortage of students, declining or dwindling birth rate. So, Ms. Ong, what is our birth rate right now? Almost to what? 0? 1.1. 1. Some people say 0.9 now. Okay, I don't know. I feel so proud. I'm 2. I have 2 kids, so I have done enough to contribute. Okay, so right now very small. So Ms. Ong, do you have any suggestion? How do we boost our birth rate? You don't have any? You're educated in Tsinghua, you don't have an idea. You have to have an idea. Otherwise, other people will not. Okay, that's a problem. Okay, that's a problem. You know, in Singapore, the government will teach people how to date. Yeah.
Looking your eyes over.
Yeah. And I have a high school classmate. She is opening a dating studio. So I went to her dating studio. I said, "What are you doing here with a little booth here, there?" She said, "You know, we have to teach all this high-tech people from Hsinchu how to talk to girls. They don't know how to talk to girls. So we have to do simulation, 模拟." Okay, but that's the first step, right? So that they can talk, and then they can date, and then they can get married, and then they can have kids. So you cannot just, it's everything you have to cover. Okay, so, but any suggestion, any, we call incentive. Oh, our government is paying $5,000 each month, right? Would that be sufficient? No? Why not?
His children are nasty.
Oh, wait a second. Wait a second. I don't think you understand kids. Okay. The other day, you know, yesterday, I think it was yesterday, the day before yesterday, my wife and I heard a little kid just keep crying. Okay, just creating, you know, a little bit problem from our neighbor. And then my wife said, "We don't remember our kids ever cry, you know, like this. You know, they've been very good kids. And wherever they go, people say, "Oh, you have kids like this, you should have more." Okay, so I don't know. I think we are blessed. So not necessarily true. But any good recommendation in terms of giving money is not a solution. What else? How about Tsinghua University said, "We will give you preferential scores if you have kids." Applying graduate school, we're talking about graduate school. You know, we want young women productive, you know, in an early age, right? So if you apply for graduate school but already married with kids, 1 kid, add 20 points. Huh? Would that do? That will help, right? Okay, and then Tsinghua University also set up a nursery as well. I mean, no kidding. In America, high school have nursery. Yeah, high school, because that's the most productive time. Right? It's in high school. Okay. But my suggestion right now, at least, you know, for the teaching professions, I asked our university saying, if, you know, female professor have kids, right? 1 kid, they do not have to write 1 SSCI journal articles. If they have 3 kids, they can be promoted directly from assistant professor to associate professor. Okay? So, you know, 生孩子 is more difficult than 生等. Right? So I think that's where you need to do. So certain things you can encourage. In France, what did they do? The number 4 kid in your family is automatically the adopted kid of the president. Okay, I think that will help. Right? 我们生到第4个嘛，总统就要认养。How about that? So those are a possibility. Otherwise, we have the dwindling birth rate. And we don't even need like what China had before, one-child policy. Right? We don't have a one-child policy. We have less than 1 child. Okay. And tendency for Taiwan students to enroll in mainland. So that's why we have less students. And influx. Okay, this is an important word. People use this word to describe influx of immigrants in Taiwan in 1949. Have you read that book? 1949? You read that book. So how many people came from China to Taiwan in 1949? Do you make a guess? 1.2, 1.2. Some people said 2. 2 million. Okay, I think 2 million is from 1945 all the way to 1949. Okay, but just that year, 1949, maybe 1 million, 1.2 or 1.3 million. So that's what we call influx. Okay, and then what else do we have in influx? In recent years, we have an influx of foreign workers in Taiwan, right? And also we have a lot of influx of what? No, pet. People who raise pets. Crazy. Nowadays, people are closing down kindergarten and then opening up more pet shop, pet store. 宠物店越来越多，孩子这个什么幼稚园越来越少，因为大家都是养狗代替小孩 ，right? So again, your professor has always recommend this. Girls, you should not raise a dog before you get married. Because you get to a dog who is more faithful than your boyfriend, you don't want to get married. You have a companion and listen to you, very faithful, and will not split, So, that's so you don't need a boyfriend anymore. So I don't want. I think I have to recommend again and again. This is always listen to your professor. Okay, this one. Okay, don't raise a dog before you get married. Okay, next one we have Li Yuxuan. Yeah.
The government is selling out everything to China. We won't allow selling out education to China. Said lawmaker
管碧玲
of the African Democratic Progressive Party.
Continue.
For the KMT condemned the unruly behavior, the second major incident of its kind in the past 2 years, and demanded the opposition admit responsibility, said its
Parliamentary.
parliamentary
林义士 Okay. Selling out. Okay. Selling out. What does that mean? Selling out. 出卖. Okay. So, for example, some university professors, I know some people who came back to Taiwan first, and then they try to be academic, but then, especially I'm sorry, do we have someone here with civil engineering back? 你们有土木的吗？清华没有啊？土木的是最容易被污染的。Because you're going to do a lot of, we call, evaluation of the impact on environment. 环评, a lot of people sell out, okay, to the highest bidder. Okay, so we have that, and I know some of them. 大地工程，土木系的 okay. And so that's what we call selling out. What's the other one? For example, in one of my friends who is right now working in the government, used to be our university president. When he first came back to Taiwan, the pay for university professor not enough. So what does he moonlight? Where does he moonlight? Cram school, TOEFL, teaching TOEFL. That's, to me, that's selling out, right? I'm not sure. Some people might not think that way, okay? So selling out can be all kinds of things, okay? But here is selling out everything to China, and we will not allow selling out our education, which I'm a little bit confused. I don't know how do we sell out our education by admitting some Chinese student, but that's what her argument. And then unruly behavior. So Ms. Li, what do you mean by unruly? Basically out of control. But I like her, you know why? She always wear a neck protector. And then after fighting, she just put it down. Okay, always pretend to be injured. Ooh. Okay, so I'm sorry, she is a political science major from NTU. She got her PhD, and she used to be the Taipei University professor of political science. 台北大学公共行政系的教授. Okay, so she know how to put up a show. Very good one. Okay, and sometimes she even believing that, I thought I met her one time, and when she pretends so deeply that she believing it. It actually happened. 就她可以已经自己都这叫什么 internalized 内化了。Okay, yeah, I was injured. Okay, but she was never injured. Okay, so responsibility. 苏星鹤有在吗 ？Yeah, okay. According. Continue. Okay, so here we have 164. Can you tell me what is 1/3? About how many? More than 1/3. I'm not even a science university student. So at least what, 55, right? Okay, 55, 165. So more than 1/3. Okay, I have a student who is teaching in one of this technology university in Nantou. Have you heard of this one? Called Chaoyang. Okay. And he said, Professor, I'm safe. I think this university probably will close down, after I retire. So a lot of people are looking at, the number and looking at their age, looking at the time of their retirement, saying, how many more years can I teach? But who cares about 2021? The world is going to end in 2012. Right? So why are we so worried about this one? 2021. Okay. Oh, God. So even I should teach one of this university because I'm supposed to retire 2020. Okay, so 2020 is the year I'm retiring. And then 2021, 1/3 of the university out of business. Here in China, estimated about 7,000. So altogether, 7,000. 7,000 students, that's about, what, 2/3 of Tsinghua students? 清华有多少？1万几？1万5，有没有 ？Half, including graduate student. You have more graduate student than undergraduate. Okay, so your undergraduate is what, 1,500 a year? So that's 6,000. So I'm guessing at least, okay, so half of the Taiwan students, is half of, the number of Tsinghua students are in China right now. The number. 简英哲。胡荣华，有在吗？王大中。哦，在，你要 raise your hand. Okay, thank you. Platform. What is a platform? 平台. Oh, okay. So what does that mean? Okay, so Ma Ying-jeou stand on this platform, and that's China friendly because this platform is made in China? What is a platform? No. This is a campaign term. This is a political term. What is a platform? No, platform is not communication. Platform, again, I hate to write this English, Chinese character. Just too many strokes. Is that right? No? 党网，哪个是？这个是纲 ，OK， 党纲。Do you understand what is 党纲？ Means every political party, when they are campaign for office, they tell the voters, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is what we're going to do. Okay, so this is what Ma Ying-jeou said during the campaign. This is what he's going to do. So platform outline of policies. Okay, once you're in government, you won the election, you're going to implement those policies. That's why we call platform. What did Obama say during the campaign? He said, I want to abolish or reduce nuclear weapon. So did he do that? Yes. He said, I want to promote for what? Universal health care. Okay, so if you won the election and you said, oh, that's just campaign slogan. I'm not really interested. I just fool you. You cannot say that, right? So that's what we call platform. So is it a surprise that, people accuse him of being China friend? He told you so. So when you voted, you already knew this is what he's going to do. So why protest? Okay? I think that's why we need a party platform. Sometimes they can be in the form of we call white paper, 白皮书. Okay. In Taiwan, again, this is our problem. We have a political party before the election, and then the media always say, oh, the campaign is so bad. They are just attacking each other. There's so many negative advertisements. There is no policy paper. So most Taiwan parties will say, oh, in order to satisfy the media, just get some scholar, like, some idiots like严震生, write some policy for us. Okay, so I write a policy, right, white paper about Taiwan's foreign policy. So they say, oh, see, we have the white paper. And then after they got elected, people said, this is what you're going to say, you're going to do. Wow, you're not doing what you're going to say. You say you're going to do. I said, well, we don't know. You actually look at this. I thought nobody read that. Okay, so I was the only one who challenged. I didn't write anything. You know that. I don't do political thing. But I challenged our government before. I said, you said this is what you're going to do, but you are doing exactly the opposite. What happened? He said, no. Well, when we were writing this, we didn't know that we would be in government. So we just write, right? And then once in government, we realized that this is not really, what we can do. So we didn't do it. I said, then you should write a revised copy, or saying, we have to change something. And he said, besides, nobody will read that. I said, well, at least I was reading. And then there's, a stupid American professor who is also reading that. So this is what in Taiwan, we don't read the platform at all. Okay? So and we don't give a good number. For example, even in Taiwan right now, when we talk about the ACFA, do we know in America they will give you a lot of numbers, like which industry will benefit, how much more revenue they can generate, how much more tax the government can get from this, benefiting industry. Then using how much of this money we can help, those industry that suffer from this ACFA framework. We don't do the math. Well, that can be biased, but at least they have to show us the number. Okay, last class I said, show me the money. Show me the number.
Because Taiwanese people respond more to shout.
Yeah, well, that's the problem right now. Is we are not thinking, that's why we have to fight. People like to watch the fight. That's the reason the caucus is a circus, right? But we need real number. I think, I'm sorry, back in my old days, we have a planning committee in Taiwan, economic planning. But we still have that committee, but it just doesn't do the work anymore. 台湾以前有经建会，有听过吧？现在还有。以前好多，台湾以前有好多5年计划。Not anymore. We ended up, the last one was called 6年国建，国家建设 back in the early 1990s. And after that, we have no plan at all. No, this kind of plan economy. Because we are market economy, so no need for plan. But at the time, in the 50s and 60s and 70s, throughout the 80s, we have like 4 years plan, 5 years plan, 4 years economic plan. So all those people from the economic planning committee know the numbers. They know, how to project. That's why we don't have the Jingjianhui. That's the reason we have so many universities. We have less kids, but we have more university. This government or this country is not planning. That's why I think Tsinghua students, at least, in the future, please do some planning. The country is in disaster. We are not planning, so please do some planning here. Any other questions? Because last week, Professor Huang, remember the professor from NZZU, came here and gave you something to sign that, professor? She told me after this class interview, she said, your students are not responding to you at all. They never raise questions. I said, wow. I said, well, we are interacting. I'm asking questions. But she said, they never ask you questions. So you have to ask me questions. Right? I mean, it's like, do you understand everything? Do you have any question you need to raise?
Tsinghua student always understand everything.
Really?
You can believe me.
I'm not sure. Okay.
If they don't understand, the professor will always think that they are from like Zhongshui Gaozhong, like Guangfu Gaozhong, Gobi Gaozhong.
Guangfu Gaozhong. How many? By the way, is Guangfu Gaozhong part of the Starry program here? 光复高中有没有机会进清华？有，不是他们平常有没有人进？不靠繁星可不可以进？哦，还蛮强。哦 ，OK， so they do have OK. So it's better than 竹东高中 ，right？ 竹东高中，until last year they were 10 years, not a single graduate from 竹东高中 entered 清华。Is that embarrassment? Don't you think? 在竹东旁边就是工研院哦。结果没有一个学生进得了清华，你们不觉得清华很可耻吗？是他们可耻。No, what have you done? Do not ask what other can do for you. Ask what Tsinghua can do for the community. 好吗？ Okay, we stop here, and you have to give me the homework, the essay next week on this education thing. Okay? Should Taiwan open up, and what's the benefit? What's the the threat? So you can look at this. Okay? And do you want to see more students coming, or do you think this is not going to help?